Hello viewers out there, thank you for tuning in. If you are not already subscribed to this channel and you like books, go ahead and hit that button now. I'm used to saying it at the end of the video and I realize that's probably not the best YouTube strategy here. So I appreciate any likes and all that sort of stuff that lets me know you're out there. It gives me a pulse on what's happening out in the inner sphere. So today I bring you a book by an author who is just, from my eyes, just hitting home runs right now. Cuckoo Land from Anthony Doerr. Incredible cover art. I'll give you the full rundown of that there because there's a lot of details in it. My little phone can't handle it all at once. It's a thickie, I'll tell you, but before you get tuned out on it, there's so much white space in here. There's so much white space. There's so many chapters start like that. You know, there's a lot of stuff like that. So thick book. I think I read it in 4 days. So this is his most recent novel. This book came out this year, just a few months ago, I believe. I've only read his novels, so I think at this point, I think he has 3 novels about Grace, the big hit, All the Light We Cannot See, and now Cuckoo Land. And so I think Shell Collector is a short story collection. I believe he has a memoir and then maybe one other short story collection. If you know if he has another novel out there, I would sincerely appreciate a comment on that. So I've read all 3 of those, the novels that I'm privy to, and good heavens, they're all good. I just in my head it was I'm not even gonna try to rank them. That'd be preposterous. I did see that All the Light We Cannot See is gonna be a Netflix show, and they actually just found a woman who is blind to play the blind girl in it, which I just found incredible. I wouldn't even thought that would be done. But it's so much more genuine in the mannerisms and everything. I was already geeked to see it, but now I'm just they're going deep on this one. So Cuckoo Land, much like All the Light We Cannot See, and if you're new to the channel, I don't give any spoilers in novels. So I just tell you general stuff, or nothing beyond if you read the little blurb inside a book. Nothing crazy. So All the Light We Cannot See had 2 storylines, and kind of the classic weaving together thing at the end. This basically, the book is about an old text, kind of a absurdist novel, or not novel, but just story, called Cuckoo Land. It was written on 25 tablets, is what it said. It's based on a real author from back in the day, a writer. I don't know. I think they called them authors back then. But he wrote plays and stuff like that. He wrote a lot of things that are being excavated from history and trying to be found. And so Cuckoo Land wasn't necessarily one, but there was a story along these lines, if I recall correctly. I listened to an interview on my lunch break with Anthony Doerr the other day. By the way, just a wonderful guy to hear speak. I just like the way he talks. So if he reads the audiobook of this, that's enticing. That's probably really good. But so this story, it's about that ancient story being sort of like a torch passed through time to be kept alive. And so there's 3 time periods, way old Constantinople time, one person within Constantinople, one person on the outside of the walls. Next would be pretty much modern age. I think it was 2019 or 2018, somewhere around there. And older guy who was a war vet, and then a young guy who had a difficult childhood, and how they're kind of coming together at this school. And then a far in the future where it's not even measured in our same years. So it's not 2070. It's I forget what they said, but it was very different. And what I found fascinating, as just through reading it, is that I would have times where preferred one storyline where it's man, I want to keep going on this, or that chapter would end. It's oh, all right, let's knock out these other people. And it wasn't always so sequential. It wasn't 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. It sometimes it would be in one time period for a long time. Sometimes it would ebb and flow. Sometimes there was a part where the future one was out of it for quite a long time. And I thought for a while, I was I'm really gonna like the younger guy in the modern times, and then the girl in the Constantinople era. I was really digging those 2, and then all of a sudden I was man, now I'm pining for this one, and like just back and forth, and it's like all these are hitting. And so yeah, it was really fascinating. And just as a lover of books, like to have it so literature-centric was just fascinating. I've never really thought to dig too far back. Like honestly, the probably oldest book I've read is probably an Agatha Christie. Like or I get like Great Gatsby, yeah, some like that. Not too crazy. Like not Greek, old times. But so it was fascinating to see that people are digging for the depths of literature, as we have so much coming out every year, that there's more books coming out, and so we have no shortage of current stuff. But to see that these stories that are kind of handed down or had been handed down and then missed the pass off one time, but someone went back and got it, like that's fascinating to me, and I'd never really thought of it. I guess that sounds kind of simple-minded to say, but like, you know, it hadn't crossed my mind. And so it does a really good job of including history and research without it being like so bogged down where it's just too much to take in. I will say, combination of that, the history, the time period of things, and some of the language going around in that, or like references to things that I don't like. When I say Constantinople times, like I learned more about that from this book than anything in school. Like I didn't come into it where they say like Constantinople, like what do you know about it? Like I don't know really anything. Like tell me, like they could have told me so many different things, and I'd be like, I think that's accurate. So like it seems I learned a lot from the book, but it was something that as I began the book, I was kind of wondering, like I knew I wanted a novel, not a nonfiction read at that moment, but then I started as like, this might be a little bit more of a project to take on than I anticipated, but kept going. All of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm on page 60, and like it kind of was chugging by, and then it's like, okay, I'm hooked. Like it just had a lot of like kind of, I guess because there were multiple stages to set, that was big for me. And then there was the element of like All the Light We Cannot See. I didn't know that the two stories were meant to intertwine, but like I think pretty quick, and it's like, oh, I see how this could lead to that. Not necessarily the exact path, but like they're in the same time period, same like I don't think it's just like I wrote two novels split into two in one book and they don't intersect at all. Like so, kind of anticipated that, but with this, I didn't understand the commonality of it, and it took a long time for that to register. And also, every chapter is prefaced with a section of this like supposed old text, as it is translated by the older gentleman in the present day times, who he had fallen for a man in the war who was really into that, and he also really got into translating, so it's his like translation of this old story. And so it was a lot to kind of get my head around. And then, I mean, it should have been right in my face, this old text, and that's the name of the book and all that stuff, but like it really just like it took me a little bit to gather and to get my footings, but as I did, then I was off and running. So all three books I've read from Anthony Doerr are phenomenal. Like the writing in them, everything about it. Like the story, they don't feel too long or too short, but they go deep, and it's just incredible. He took a long time writing this, so it was 7 years after the publication of All the Light We Cannot See, but he's been working on it for 10 years. And so it's easy to understand, because there's a lot of research in this where I think prior, or like About Grace is something more just pulled from the dome, where All the Light We Cannot See, there's some research to do all around World War II. But with this, you have some probably deepening your understanding of present day elements that are kind of hinted at in that. And then also, I would probably be reading some sci-fi and futuristic utopian things to put together the future one, because it would take a lot to pull that straight out of imagination and have it be like comparable to the well-researched past parts. And so it didn't feel like nonsensical, the future parts. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. And he touched on something in the interview that I've been really like kind of searching for independently, is that there's so much dystopian books, movies, TV shows that, like, where's the Utopian? Like, why is that not there? And so this, like, Cloud Cuckoo Land, the book that, or the text that they are all kind of passing around or trying to, you know, passing on through history, that is a utopian story. And that was what he really enjoyed in it, is that this is kind of going on in every person. So, like, man, I feel something with that. This idea that there is this place. And so, like, I really pined for that. I read Ecotopia recently, which was kind of a hippie version of, like, if things went super well climate-wise. And I think it's harder to author a utopian story than a dystopian, especially right now. But, like, I asked, like, someone asked me for a book recommendation the other day, and they said, like, something dystopian, and I forget what I shot him back, but, like, I didn't, like, get into anything of just, like, my first thought was, like, everything, like, you know, like, every TV show, every movie, like, most current things, like, and so, like, it just felt like utopian is something that I don't not only, like, want more for myself, but I think I want more people in that headspace of trying to imagine that. If we all spend our time imagining how this could get worse with technology and climate change, like, I don't know, man. I don't think that's a good place for us to be. So, this was, without a doubt, in the top 10 novels I've read all year, probably in top 5. It is getting near the end of the year, and I really don't, like, review the books I've read all year, like, at all. I keep a little list on my phone, like, by month, just to kind of semi-have it organized, but, like, I always look forward to that, like, time off around the holidays where I'm just like, all right, I'm going to start putting this list together because it helps inform me what I want to read going forward. But I also try to kind of, like, wipe out my shelf at the end of the year of, like, unread books. So unfortunately, between you and I, I've got some gifts that are kind of duds and I don't know what to do with. My dad got me a John Grisham book. I love him, but, like, I said that to Jessica at the bookstore. I was looking for a new book. I said, yeah, the only thing I have on it is I got a gift from my dad, was a John Grisham book. And without looking up, she said, oh, I'm sorry. And, like, I didn't put that much inflection in it, but she's just like, I say that not as an insult to your dad, but because I know you, and you have an emotional depth where those books are just so hollow. And so, like, there's that, there's a couple. Might be some donations coming to Peoria bookstores. But yeah, all the Light Week, Cloud Cuckoo Land, all the Anthony Doerr books I recommend. But Cloud Cuckoo Land, don't be intimidated by the thickness of it. You'll breeze through it, I promise. It's, like, all dialogue, tons of white paper. But holy smokes, this was worth the wait. Go get a copy of it.